Now substitute the slope and intercept in the general simple linear regression equation. Again guys, when we say general simple linear regression equation, this is the y bar, y hat rather, equals to b sub 1 x plus b sub 0. This is the general simple linear regression equation. So since we already have the values for this, our general simple linear regression equation will be y hat equals the value of b sub 1, which is this 3.7496. 3.7496. Then x will still be x. Okay? Dahil ayan yung papalit-palitan natin ng values later. Minus the value of b sub 0. Actually, this is plus. But bakit minus ang nilagay ko? Dahil if you can check, no, negative ang value ng b sub 0 natin. So, it will be minus 145.2782. So, this is our general simple linear regression equation. Ito yung model natin for that problem, no, for the sales versus temperature na problem. Hello everyone! Welcome to all of you. So for this presentation, we will going to have our next topic, and this is regarding the simple linear regression analysis. So let's start our discussion. Again, simple linear regression. When it comes to this topic, guys, we have a lot of terminologies that we should be familiarized with. No, so meaning, pag-usapan muna natin ano itong mga terminologies na to before we go sa computation itself para mas ma-gets ninyo yung topic natin, okay? When we say regression analysis, this is a simple statistical tool used to model the dependence of a variable on one or more explanatory variables. So meaning, titingnan natin ano ba yung relationship ng isang variable to the other variable. No, yung kung gaano siya ka-dependent doon sa isa. No, that is a regression analysis. When we say simple linear regression naman, the least estimator of a linear regression model with a single predictor. So, single lang po yung ating predictor na ginagamit dito. We have multiple linear regression kasi we have there two or more predictors. Okay, that is the difference with between the two, the simple and the multiple. Sa simple, isa lang yung predictor. Sa multiple, marami. No, pwedeng marami siyang x, tapos isa lang yung value ng y. That is the multiple one. So, dito, ang papag-usapan lang po natin is the simple linear regression. Next, we have also the outliers. So, I hope you are now familiar with outliers since this was discussed sa ating basic statistics. So, when we say outliers, guys, this is where the points that fall outside the overall pattern of the points. For example, we have here the data, we have the different points here. Then, meron tayong biglang point doon ng malayo. That is what we call the outlier. Okay? So, we have the different assumptions when we say linear regression. Assumptions for linear regression equation. So, the assumptions are, first, linearity. When we say linearity, the mean of each error component is 0. Okay? That is why linear, ang pinag-usapan po natin. The mean is 0. Second, independence of error terms. So, the errors are independent of each other. Walang kinalaman yung unang data doon sa pangalawa, sa pangatlo, sa pang-apat, etc. No, wala pong kinalaman yung error na pwede nilang makommit. Okay? Then, next, so third one, normally distributed error terms. Each error component or the random variable follows an approximate normal distribution. We are using here, guys, the word approximate because there's no such thing as perfect normal distribution naman. Statistically speaking, approximate normal distribution lang po ang titignan natin, and that is one of the assumptions ng linear regression equation. If hindi siya normally distributed, hindi siya approximately normally distributed, then medyo hindi applicable itong si linear regression, no? So, we need to test first our data before applying this linear regression. And next, we have the fourth one and the last one, we have the homoscedasticity. When we say homoscedasticity, the variance of the error components is the same for each value of the independent variable. Pare-pareho lang po yung variance simula umpisa hanggang sa dulo. Meron kasi tayo guys mga variance sa linear regression wherein yung variance sa unang part ng dataset okay lang, maliit lang. Tapos kapag lumalaki yung values, if for example that is positively correlated, lumalaki yung values, palaki din ng palaki yung variance of the error component. And kapag ganun, that is not the homoscedasticity, that is what we call heteroscedasticity. Okay? But for our lecture now regarding linear regression, ang consideration po natin, ang assumption natin is homoscedasticity. Wherein, ulitin ko, pareho lang yung error, yung variance of the error from the start up to the last part of our data set, of our variables. No? Kapag prinat ito sa graph, madaling makita. Okay? So, formula for estimating the coefficient. So, we have here the formula. Unahin natin, of course, mag-open muna ako ng pen ko. Let's make it black. Okay, so we have the formula for estimating the coefficient. First is the formula natin for the model mismo ng regression equation. We have here y hat equals b sub 1 x plus b sub 0. So this y hat guys is what we call the predicted or fitted value of y, wherein b sub 1 is equals to the slope of the regression line, gaano kataas or kababa yung angle, no, yung slope nun, and multiplied to x natin, wherein the x is the value of any particular observations of the independent variables. Plus b sub 0, we have here the intercept of the regression line. If you can still remember your high school mathematics, we have there the slope-intercept form. So, ito po yun. Yung slope b1, then intercept is the b sub 0. So, that is y is equals to mx plus b, no? Kung naalala ko pa. And sa statistics, that is y hat equals to b sub 1 multiplied to x plus b sub 0. Okay? So, for us to be able to find the value of b sub 1, here's the formula, guys. So, b sub 1 is equivalent to n, or the number of sample na mayroon tayo, multiplied to the summation of x and y. Okay? Minus the summation of x, then multiplied to our summation of y. Okay? So, divided by our denominator here will be n. N is the total number of sample, multiplied to summation of x, then this will be squared. Sorry, sa loob ang squared. Let's delete this. Okay, so square muna. Let's have the square here. X squared minus the summation of x. Ito pala yung nasa labas na square. Okay, that is for the b sub 1, or again, that is the slope of the regression line. So next we have the b sub 0, which is equivalent to y bar. Again, y bar is the mean of the dependent value. If we have x bar, that is the mean of the independent variable. Okay, so y bar minus b sub 1. That's why we need to solve first the value of b sub 1 before solving for the value of b sub 0. So, b sub 1 multiplied to x bar. Okay? I hope you get it. Those are the formula na gagamitin po natin for estimating the value of our coefficient. Okay? So, next, we have here another term. When we say sum of squares for error, the least squares method determines the coefficients that minimize the sum of the square deviation between the points and the line defined by the coefficient. Now, the standard error of estimate the standard deviation of the observed y values about the predicted y hat values. Gaano ka laki, no, yung standard deviation from the predicted, gaano kalayo or kalapit. So, anyway, these terms are just terms. These are all useless if hindi natin alam i-apply, if hindi natin alam gamitin sa mismong computation, no? Nonsense ito. So, let's have our example na lang para mas makuha ninyo kung ano ba yung mga pinagsasabi ko, no? Pero before that, ang goal natin dito guys is makuha yung value ng r squared or the coefficient of determination. So this is the measure of variation of the dependent variable that is explained by the regression line and the independent variable. It is the ratio of the explained variation to the total variation. Gaano kagalaw yung data. That is R squared. Confidence interval, alam nyo na to, nabanggit natin to nung our previous lecture. So, this is a closed interval where a certain percentage of the population is likely to lie. Ano yung range? Ano yung lower and upper limit, no, of the confidence? And of course, if we have the confidence interval, we also have the prediction interval. Ito naman, guys, ang pinagkaiba niya sa confidence interval is that confidence interval is the interval na pwede natin makuha using our data, no? Pero if we will going to have the interval for the future, no, as part of our prediction, kung ano ba yung mangyayari in the future, ganito pa rin ba? O ano yung interval? Ano yung pwedeng maging range ng data natin? That is what we call the prediction interval. An estimate of an interval in which future observations will fall with a certain probability given what has already been observed. That is prediction interval. Okay? So, let's have an example para mas ma-appreciate ninyo ano ba yung mga pinagsasabi ko dito. Okay? So, let's have example number 1, simple linear regression. So, referring to the previous example of temperature and sales on PPMC topic, I hope you still remember that, guys, yung meron tayong sales, volume ng sales versus the temperature, lumalaki ba yung sales or lumiliit ba kapag tumataas or bumabagsak yung temperature natin in degrees Fahrenheit. I hope you still remember it. If you don't know that example, please aralin nyo muna yung previous video natin regarding the Pearson Product Moment Correlation, the BPMC. Okay? So, using that example, we should determine now the regression equation. So, marami siyang inuutos, no? Regression equation. Okay? Then, plot the regression line and interpret it. So, we need to plot it. Solve for the sum of squares for error or the SSE. Standard errors, the SE, coefficient of determination, which is the R squared na in-explain natin ito on our previous slide. And next, ano pa? Find the 95% confidence interval, ayun, for all temperature with 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And lastly, we should determine the 95% prediction interval with 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So, let's have our solution. Let's try to solve this. I hope you still remember our example problem for this. So, una, dapat muna nating malaman ano yung values or we should obtain the sum of all these variables. Tanggalin natin itong, this is typographical error, wala dapat comma dyan. So, we should obtain the sum of x, y, x squared, y squared, and the x and y. Guys, I hope naalala nyo pa, we have the Excel of this problem. So, let's go to our Excel file. Ito po siya. Actually, meron na tayong mga values eh. Summation of x, ito. No, I hope naalala nyo, ito yung graph nyo, temperature versus sales. For the summation of y, we have this, 2115. Summation of x squared, ito naman. No, summation of y squared, ito naman siya. Summation of x and y, ito naman. So, we don't need to compute it anymore. Let's just copy and paste this on our PowerPoint presentation. So, let's have here summation of x, y, x squared, and y squared. So, summation of x here, summation of y. Summation of x is 1029 or 1029. Summation of y, we have 2,115. Okay. Then, next we have summation of x squared. And summation of y squared. Okay. So, for x squared, the summation is 88,733. So, let's write here 88,733. For the y squared, we have 380,887. So, 380,000, what's that? 887. Okay. And summation of x and y, we have here, for the value of x and y summation, 183,222. So, 183,222. 222. So, we are done now with our first step. Second step is we should compute for the slope of the sample linear regression. So, let's go back to our formula for the formula ng B sub 1. That is B sub 1, slope. So, for our formula, that is B sub 1 equals N multiplied to summation of X and Y minus summation of X, summation of Y, all over the N multiplied to summation of X squared minus summation of X, then squared. Kaya natin kinuha muna yung mga values ng summation sa first step for this. No, dahil kakailanganin natin siya eh. So, let's have here the formula ulit. I hope naalala nyo pa. So, B sub 1 equals N multiplied to summation of X and Y minus summation of X multiplied to summation of Y. All over, we have here the N, then summation of X squared minus summation of X n squared. Guys, magkaiba yung summation of X squared sa summation of X then squared. Magkaiba tong dalawang to. Baka nalilito kayo doon, no? Magkaiba yan. So, we have here the value of N. Our N, let's go back to our Excel. Our N here is the number of days. So, from 1 to 12, meaning we have 12 as our N. So, we have here 12. Then, summation of X and Y, we have here 183,222. So, 183,222 minus summation of X, 1,029. Okay. Summation of Y, 2,115. Okay. So, for our denominator, let's go now sa ating denominator. Lagyan natin ng values yan. For the N, that is 12. Okay. Summation of X squared, nasaan yan? Ito, we have 88,733. So, 88,733 minus summation of X, we have here 1,029. So, this 1,029 should be squared. Okay? So, para ma-solve natin, let's go sa ating calculator para mas madali natin siyang malaman kung ano yung kasagutan nito. So, let's go now sa ating calculator. Let's have our fraction first. So, we have there 12. Okay, then I hope you have your notes. Sana nag-notes kayo para masusubaybayan niyo ako. Masasabayan niyo ako. No? 188,222 minus 1,029. Oops. Ayan. Multiplied to 2,115. That is for our numerator. For denominator, we have N na 12, 88,733 minus the value of our X, summation of X, which is 1,029, then squared natin. And squared. Okay? So, for the answer, we have 3.7496. Let's use, guys, for decimal places. 3.7496. So, let's have here 3.7496. That is the value of our B sub 1. Okay? So, next na step natin, compute for the mean value of X and Y. Now, when we say mean, guys, that is average. No, I hope alam nyo na yan. Basic yan. Measures of central tendencies. Topic under ng statistics 1. So, mean and value of X and Y. As you can see, we have here the summation of X and the summation of Y. The answer, the lacking part is wala po tayong value ng mean nila. So, meaning to say, let's compute for their mean. For the mean of X, that is X bar, no, represented by X bar. X bar means mean. Summation of X na meron tayo doon over N natin. Ano po itong N? Kung ilan yung data natin, which is 12. Okay, so summation of X, we have 1,029 over 12. That will be the mean of the X. Okay, so let's go to our calculator. Let's have here 1,029 divided by 12. So basically, we have 85.75 as the value for X bar. Okay, so let's write it here, 85.75. Okay, for the y bar, we have summation of y over n. Nasaan ang summation of y? We have it here, 2,115. So, 2,115 over 12. Dahil 12 days ito. So, let's go to our calculator ulit. And let's clear it. 2,115 divide 12. Answer is 176.25. So, 176.25. So, okay na tayo for the value of b sub 1. Ito po. For x bar, ito. For y bar, ito. Okay? So, next step natin is we should now compute for the intercept of the simple linear regression. Guys, ang goal natin, para hindi kayo mawawala sa focus, ang goal po natin is magawa natin yung corresponding na equation dito. Yung anong katumbas ng number ng b sub 1, b sub 0. Dahil ito yung model na tinatawag, no? Regression analysis model. Y hat equals b sub 1 x plus b sub 0. We already have the value for b sub 1. That's why, as you can see, pagdating dito sa next step natin, ang gusto niya nang i-compute natin is the intercept. Or this is the b sub 0. No, the intercept. Now, we're in. Kung babalikan po natin yung formula na mga binigay ko kanina, b sub 0 is equivalent to the value of x bar minus b sub 1, y bar minus b sub 1 multiplied to x bar. So, let's write it here. Let's have our solution. Again, b sub 0 equals y bar minus b sub 1 x bar. Okay, so b sub 0 equals y bar. Anong value ng y bar natin? We have here 176.25. So, 176.25 minus b sub 1 computed, which is 3.7496. So, 3.7496. This will be multiplied to the value of our x bar, which is 85.75. So, let's go. Here, 85.75. And for the value of b sub 0, i-compute natin yan sa ating calculator. Again, don't forget, 176.25 minus 3.7496 multiplied to 85.75. Okay? So, let's go to our calculator now. And let's write the equation. So, 176.25 minus 3.7496 multiplied to 85.75. Ayan. Okay, so the answer is negative 145.2782. Let's write it on our PowerPoint presentation. Negative 145.2782. So, this is the value of our b sub 0. So, now na nakuha na natin yung value na yan, we should now substitute the slope and intercept in the general simple linear regression equation. Again, guys, when we say general simple linear regression equation, this is the y hat equals to b sub 1 x plus b sub 0. This is the general simple linear regression equation. So, since we already have the values for this, our general simple linear regression equation will be y hat equals the value of b sub 1, which is this 3.7496. 3.7496. Then, x will still be x. Okay? Dahil ayan yung papalit-palitan natin ng values later. Minus the value of b sub 0. Actually, this is plus. But bakit minus ang nilagay ko? Dahil if you can check, no, negative ang value ng b sub 0. So, it will be minus 145.2782. So, this is our general simple linear regression equation. Ito yung model natin for that problem, no, for the sales versus temperature na problem. Okay? So, the next step is, guys, we should now graph the least square regression line. Actually, last time, Ang graph natin ito. No, pero hindi ito ang pinakita ko. Ang pinakita ko is yung Excel. Ito. Ito yung graph, no? Now, parehong-pareho lang po yan doon. It just so happen na ito medyo nakaangat siya dahil by default ng Excel, nag 20 siya nag-start, pero pareho lang yun if you'll check. Ang gagawin natin is to have the regression line based doon sa equation na nakuha natin. Ito yung model na yan. No, ito yung model, ano yung linya? So, para po makuha natin, what is the lowest value of x ba? Kunin natin yung lowest value of x and the highest value of x. Wherein, sa ating Excel file, the lowest value of x is, para makuha natin, let's have yung mean. Kung gusto nyo i-check ng manual, pwede naman. Pero if napakadami ng data nyo, libo-libo yung data nyo, so mean na lang, gamit kayo ng mean. That is 76. And max, para makuha ninyo yung pinakamalaki naman na value. So, same ng formula. Same ng step, magkaiba ng formula. So, max, then highlight mo itong lahat. Lalabas 97. So, 76 and 97. So, ano po yung gagawin natin ngayon? What we will do now, guys, is to substitute this equation, no, yung x natin, yung lowest and the maximum value of x natin on this equation para mahanap natin ano yung katumbas na value niya pagdating sa y hat. Okay, so 3.7496. Let's have it here. 3.7496. Then, leave as blank muna natin to, minus the d sub 0, which is 145.2782. Okay, ano ulit yung pinakamaliit na value? That is 76. So, let's write here 76. If 76 ang value ng x natin, what is the x nga? No, again, x is 79, 76, 78 hanggang 82. That is the temperature. Okay, if ang value ng temperature natin is 76 degrees Fahrenheit, the sales daw will be 139.6838. Nasaan siya ngayon? Check natin, 139.6838. Nandito po. Let's have our graph. 139. If, again, no, if that is 76 na x, nasaan 76? Ito. Kunyari, mga dito, 76. Tansya muna, tansyameter. Then, 139.6838. 139.6838, mga bandang dito. No, ito. Actually, ito nga yata yun eh. Ito. Something like here. Diyan siya. And, ano yung next natin? Kung natin yung max naman, 97. So, let's substitute this 97. Yung 76 going 97. Okay, the value is 218.4233. So, nasaan si 97? Ito, si 97, 96, 97. Around here. Okay, around dito. Then, anong value po na compute natin? 218. Where's 218? Banda dito. 218. Banda dito. So, this is the dulo-dulo ng ating linear regression na line, no? Yung regression line na tinatawag. So, i-connect lang po natin sila. At kunyari, pantay ang aking linya. This is what we call the regression line, guys. This is now the representation of the equation y hat is equals to 3.7496x minus 145.2782. Ibig pong sabihin, palitan mo lang yung values ng x na to, bibigay niya sa'yo yung katumbas na value ng y. And more likely, nandito lang yan maglalaro sa linya na yan. No? Kunyari, diretso. Nandiyan lang yan maglalaro sa linya na yan. Yung mga error na binabanggit ko kanina sa assumptions na part, ayun po yung layo ng mga actual data doon sa line natin sa regression. Okay, I hope you get it, guys. Thus, this regression equation, the V sub 1 represents or indicates that for each additional temperature in Fahrenheit na sa kada isang madadagdag, sales are expected to increase by 3.7496 units. Ayun yung ibig sabihin niya. kung 1 ang ilalagay mo dito, no? Kung 1, yun yung value. Then, the b sub 0 naman, itong value na negative 145.2782, this indicates naman, guys, that the intercept with the y-axis is below the origin. A concrete interpretation is that if the temperature in Fahrenheit is 0, so if ever na nag-0 tayo dito temperature, ang magiging value niya, no, will be negative 145. Nasa baba siya. Lugi na tayo. That is the time na wala no, ang lamig-lamig nun, mag-aano ka pa ba? Ano ba to? Ano ba yung product natin dito? Parang ice candy yata to or ice cream. Fruit shake pala. Ang dami kong binanggit. Fruit shake, ang lamig-lamig mag-fruit shake ka pa, that is negative. No? So, malulugi na sila. If ever na 0 ang temperature. Ayun yung binabanggit nito. Ibig sabihin ng B sub 0. I hope you get it, guys. So, ayan ang ating step. So, next, let's have our next step. So, for the next step, we should now get the total sum of squares. Ano tong total sum of squares na to? Guys, total sum of squares is equivalent to the summation of y sub I. Itong y sub I is any value na meron tayo sa y minus y bar, then square. So, let's go to our Excel. Check natin if we have the y bar or the y sub I. Actually, wala tayong y bar dahil ginamit lang natin si y bar doon sa solution natin for this topic. Pero since wala yan, and this worksheet is for ppm, as you can see naman dito, fusion product moment correlation, let's have our new sheet. Let's copy and paste this one sa ating simple linear regression. Okay, so paste natin dito, gawa tayo ng bago, no? Ang goal po natin, ulitin ko, makagawa nito, makuha yung y sub I minus y bar. Okay? So, since we already have the value for y, ang next natin is y minus y bar. Okay? So, y minus y bar. Let's have y bar na lang dyan. Dahil walang mahirap pagganap ng ating mga symbols. Y minus y bar. Ano yung y bar? No, balikan natin. Ano yung y bar? Na-solve na natin yan kanina eh. Ay, gumamit na nga tayo. Y bar. Nasaan siya? Ito po. 176.25. So, let's write it here. Y bar natin. Dito na lang siguro. 176. 100. Ano ba yun? 176.25. Next. Y minus y bar. Y sub I. That means y sub 1, y sub 2, y sub 3, y sub 4, y sub 5, up to y sub 12. So, ibig sabihin, for this column, no, ang gagawin ko natin will be this one, y sub 1, minus the value for y sub bar. Ganon din sa pangalawa. This one, minus the value of y sub bar. Hanggang matapos po tayo hanggang sa pinakababa. Take note guys, ang lumalabas is negative. Kapag nakaganito parenthesis in Excel, that is negative. Nalagay natin general format na lang. Negative siya. And naka 2 decimal, okay. Now, kung gagawin natin, iisa-isahin natin yan. I-minus natin lahat sa y bar. Medyo mapusisi. No? Burahin natin yan. Ang gawin natin is ilock natin yung formula. So, at the same time, habang tinuturo ko yung manual, nag-excel na rin tayo. So, B17, just click Fn, then F4. No, click nyo yung F4. Sa Windows yata, Alt F4 or Control F4. Basta palabasin nyo yung F4 no, sa taas ng keyboard. Kasi I'm using Mac dito. Iba yung controls kasi. Ayan, anong ibig pong sabihin nito? If we will going to drag the formula, ika-copy-paste natin yan. Check mo hanggang sa 4. Ayan. If kaka-paste natin, as you can see, nagbabago ito yung C4. No, galing sa C1 yan eh. Ayan. C1, C2 para, sorry. C2 dito, tapos dito C3, dito C4. Anong nangyayari? Doon sa nilock natin sa kulay red, B17. B17 dito, B17 dito, B17 dito. Para hindi po nagbabago na ima-minus silang lahat ng values na to dito sa y bar natin. No? Ayun yung ating ayun yung pinagkaiba ng using ng locking system ng formula sa Excel. Okay? So, i-ano natin to, i-drag natin ito sa baba. Ayan. And, ulitin natin ginawa din kanina para ito kasing parenthesis, usually yan ginagamit sa accounting. Mag-ano tayo, negative. Ayan. Again, ang goal natin mahanap sa ngayon is the value of summation of y sub 1 minus y bar. Ang ginagawa pa lang po natin so far is y sub 1 minus y bar. So, we need to have it squared muna bago yung summation. Meaning to say, kopyahin po natin ito, then erase natin ito sa square. Okay, erase natin ito. So, ito, times by itself. Okay? That is 855.5625. And copy, drag hanggang sa last. Okay, then this will be the time, guys, na isa-summation natin. No? Kasi kung titignan ninyo, no, if ever na hindi natin siya in-square, tapos isa-summation natin, let's check. Tingnan nyo yung lalabas na sagot dito. Ang lalabas na sagot is actually 0. Ayun, nag-dash na siya. Kasi, y minus y bar lang ginawa natin. Ang reference point, isa lang doon sa lahat. Kaya nung inad siya, 0. That's why we need to square it muna para makuha yung value ng summation of y sub I minus y bar. Ito na po yun. So, gawin natin. Sabi natin ito, yung formula na nandito, and paste. This is now, guys, after pasting, this is the value of the summation of y minus y bar squared. Okay, so, kuhanin natin yung 2 decimal. Ayan, so 8,118.25. Let's go back to our PowerPoint presentation. 8,118.25. Okay, so next natin, na dapat kuhanin is the sum of squares for error. And the formula for this is the sum of squares for error, summation of y sub I, o lahat ng data na yon, minus, we have here the y hat sub I, then squared. Okay? So, this y hat sub I squared, let's go to our Excel table, or Excel worksheet. Paano natin siya isa-solve? No? So, para ma-solve po natin siya, we have y hat. Di ba meron na tayong y hat? Naalala ninyo? Na-solve na natin kanina. Ang y hat natin, sabi natin dito, let's go to our previous PowerPoint presentation. Ito, y hat is equals to 3.7496 x minus 145.2782. Or simply, ito yung model natin. Again, what model? General Simple Linear Regression Equation. Meaning to say, let's have all the values of the x muna as substitute dito para makuha natin ang value ng y hat natin. So, let's go to our Excel ulit. Ilagay natin yung equation na to. Tapos, i-substitute natin yung x natin. Okay? So, sige. Lagay tayo dito. This is for the y hat. Guys, if ever na kaya nyong hanapin yung mga maliit, yung mga tawag dito, mga symbol, y hat, kaya naman siya. We have here dito insert. Kaso hindi ko lang ginagawa dahil matagal. I-check, try nyo na lang i-check na meron dito sa mga equations. Kung hindi sa symbol, sa equations yan. Kasi medyo matagal if maghahanap pa tayo. Kaya nilagay ko y hat. So, anyway, same lang naman yan. Let's have here the model 3.7496 multiplied to x. Ano yung gagawin natin x? Gagamitin natin x. Ito po. So, ayan. Para pag dinag natin, makukopya na lahat. Minus db sub 0, 145.9782. That is 0.2782. Enter. So, ano nangyari? Do you want to accept correction? We found a typo error in your formula and tried to correct it. Anong typo error lang meron tayo? Ayun, hindi ko nalagay ng multiplication. Ito, kita niyo. So, ayan, medyo sensitive si Excel. So, yes, accept natin yung correction. Tama naman siya. Okay, ibig kong sabihin, ito siya, right? If ang value ng x natin is 79, the predicted value of y is 150.94. Pero ang naging actual is 147 rather. Now, the difference of 147 and 150.94, that is the error. So, since ang hinahanap natin ngayon is just the sum of squares for error, so we need to continue this. Kasi mga error yung kinuha natin, you know? So, copy, and hanggang dulo, hanggang 12, paste. And now, kunin natin yung sum, copy-paste natin ito since this is a formula for sum. Okay. So, we have here 2,115 as the value for the summation of y hat ang meron tayo. But since, as you can see here, summation of y hat yun eh. Ang ginagawa natin is y sub I minus y hat nung I. So, ibig sabihin, kulang pa po tayo. What we need to do is, ito kasi ay y minus y hat. Ito pa tayo, no? Y minus y hat pa. Nasaan po yun? Ito. Lahat ng y's na yan, minus natin dito sa y hat na yan. Okay, so that is 3.94. Negative yan. Copy, then paste. Okay? So, if you wanted to have the summation, pwede naman. Pero kung titignan natin yung formula, balik tayo. That is 1 minus y hat. Okay na to, yung early yung part na to. Ang wala pa tayo ngayon is yung square at yung summation. No? Again, guys, in mathematics, any subject, basta math, kailangan nyo lang, intindihin nyo lang yung sinasabi ng formula. You don't need to memorize step by step. Ano bang next na gagawin dito? Intindihin nyo lang sinasabi ng formula, malalaman nyo na yung next nyo gagawin. No? So, tulad niyan, no? Nakita ko lang yung formula, sabi ko, kailangan na i-square. E di square natin, copy-paste, no? Dagdag tayo ng square dyan. Sabi yun, square raised to 2. Okay, so, anong ibig niya sabihin? Etong negative 3.94, multiply down natin sa sarili niya. Sa negative 3.94 ulit. Or in our case, that is J2 multiplied to J2. And enter. Then, copy and paste hanggang sa baba. No? Run natin. Ayan. So, y minus y hat squared. Meron na po tayo. Kanina ito lang. Ngayon hanggang dito na. Kasama na yung squared. And we need to find now the summation. So, kopyahin natin ito. Kung gusto nyo, summation na rin ito. Pwede naman. Pero wala kasi siyang purpose. Yung dito yung gagamitin. Parang dito, lumabas lang siya. Zero. Tignan natin itong general form. Parang hindi siya parenthesis. Naka-accounting form kasi. Okay. Zero na yan. Oops. That means that is zero dahil sobrang layo. Okay. Then, paste na rin dito, guys. Pag general mo siya, ayan, sobrang laki ng exponent. Negative 13. So, 0 na yan, value. Ito, nung ginawa natin, copy-paste for the summation of y minus y hat raised to 2, that is equivalent to 1,141 point. Gawin natin na 4 decimal para pag sinulat natin sa PowerPoint. Almost complete, no, walang may D1. 1,141.1406. That is the value of sum of squares for error. So let's have it here, 1,141.1406. Okay? So next na kailangan natin gawin is the computation for standard error of estimate. Okay, so for the formula for the computation of standard error of estimate, that is denoted by est sub e. For the formula natin dyan, we have here the square root of the summation of y sub I minus y hat sub I squared. All over the denominator natin, we have here n minus 2. So, as you can see guys, the numerator on our formula is equals to this one, the sum of squares for error. So, meaning, direct substitution tayo, 1,141.1406 and our n is 12. No, since meron tayong 12 days lang doon sa problem natin. So, 12 minus 2. And let's go now to our calculator and have the answer for this one. Let's write here, square root of, then fraction. This is 1,141.1406 over, we have 12 minus 2 or simply 10. No, so the answer is 10.6824. Let's write it here. 10.6824. Now, this value of SE, as you can see, 10.6824, medyo malayo siya actually guys sa na-compute natin na value ng Y bar, which is 176.25. So, by that, no, if that is the case, we would have to admit that the standard error of the estimate is small. Then, however, there is no predefined upper limit on the standard error. It is difficult to assess the regression model, or in summary, that the standard error of estimate cannot be fixed measure of the regression model utility. Anyway, so what we're going to do next is to have the computation for our coefficient of determination, or ito yung na-explain ko kanina na R squared. Okay, so for this R squared, our formula is, so let's have R squared, that is 1 minus summation of y sub I minus y hat sub I squared over, let's have here summation of y sub I minus y bar squared. And as you can see guys, the numerator is equivalent to this one, the sum of squares for error, and the denominator is equivalent to this one, the total sum of squares. So meaning to say, wala po kahirap-hirap, direct substitution ang mangyayari. So we have here 1 minus 1,141.1406 over 8,118.25. Okay? So, let's go to our calculator and have the value for this one. So, here's our calculator. Let's have here 1 minus, then fraction, 1,141.1406, and for the denominator, we have here 8,118.25. So, the answer is 0.8594. Let's write it here. 0.8594, or simply, this is equivalent to 85.94%. This is now the value of our R squared. This denotes that 85.94% of the variation in the fruit shakes sales is explained by the variation in the temperature reading in degrees Fahrenheit. No, kung gaano man kalikot yung variation ng fruit shake, that is explained sa variation na binibigay sa atin ng degrees in Fahrenheit, yung temperature. Na ayun yung ibig niyang sabihin. Now, let's go now to the computation of the confidence interval. So, for the determination of the confidence interval, first is we should determine the estimated number of fruit shake. Sorry for the typographical error, naulit siya. Fruit shake sold when the temperature is 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So, for us to be able to solve this, napakadali lang po. Ang gagamitin natin is yung model na nagawa natin kanina. Nasaan yung model? Ito. No, itong general simple linear regression equation. This is our model. Y hat equals to 3.7496x minus 145.2782. Ang papalitan lang po natin is the value of x, which is gagawin natin 95 degrees Fahrenheit based on the given task, no, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's go now. Let's have the solution for that. So y hat, sulat ko muna, no? Y hat equals 3.7496x minus 145.2782. So, substitute natin yung x magiging 95. So, 7496 multiplied to 95 minus 145.2782. So, the value of y hat is, let's go to our calculator to substitute that. 3.7496 multiplied to 95 degrees Fahrenheit minus 145.2782. So that is 210.9338. So 210.9338. So guys, ibig niyang sabihin, no, kapag nangyari is 95 degrees Fahrenheit yung temperature natin, we can expect a sales for our fruit shake equivalent to 210.9338 units na mabibenta, or simply 211 na lang natin round up. No, that is just the same. So for now, let's go to the determination of the degrees of freedom and the critical values of T. Now, for the degrees of freedom, let's have here n minus 2. So that is simply 12 minus 2 or 10. Ito yung df natin. And for the critical values of T, we can refer to the table na meron tayo, which is ito po. Saan tayo titingin ngayon dyan? Since ang sabi, ang confidence interval natin is 95% ang gagamitin, 95% based on our problem here. Ito find the 95% confidence interval for all temperature with 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So, 95% ang pipiliin natin dito. Nasaan po yun? Ito. So, regardless yan, automatic po yan, two-tailed dahil hindi naman ito hypothesis testing. So, two-tailed tayo or one-tailed, kahit ano piliin natin dyan, 95% is 95%. So, yung nasa baba niya. Pero for the sign, let's just use plus and minus. Okay. So, for DF, degrees of freedom, that is 10. Nasaan yung intersection nila? Ito. No, 2.228. So, meaning, our T critical value will be positive, negative 2.228. Okay? So, now, let's compute for the value na mismo ng confidence interval. Ano po yung formula for the confidence interval? Let's have the formula here. Let's CI na lang lalagay ko, no, for the confidence interval. For the formula neto, we have here y hat plus minus T. Okay? So, T or the T critical multiplied to the S sub E, or again, S sub E is the standard error of estimate, multiplied ulit sa square root of 1 plus n, let's have here 1 over n rather, plus x minus x bar squared over, let's have here the summation of x squared minus summation of x then squared. Guys, ulitin ko ha, magkaiba yung summation of x squared sa summation of x then squared. Baka kasi malilito kayo, magkaiba yan. Especially if you're going to input this in calculator over n. Okay, I hope nakuha nyo. So, let's have it here. Ci equals our value of y hat, which is equivalent to yung 95% na 95% correct, 95 degrees Fahrenheit yung y hat doon, which is ito po 210.9338. So let's have it here, 210.9338 plus and minus. Bakit plus minus ang ginamit natin na T critical value? Dahil we are talking here all about confidence interval. And when we say confidence interval, we have there the lower limit and we have the upper limit. So, meaning, yung upper limit, this will be the plus, no? Yung lower limit, ito yung magiging minus. Kaya plus minus po ang kinuha natin na values for T critical. Okay? I hope you get it. Next. Anong value ng T critical natin? Sabi natin last time sa table, 2.228. So, plus minus 2.228 multiplied sa SE natin. Anong value ng SE natin? Balikan po natin yung SE dito. 10.6824. So, let's have here 10.6824 for the value of SE. Then, square root tayo 1 over n natin guys is 12 since we have 12 days plus x minus x bar. Ano po yung x na gagamitin natin dito? 'Di ba? Ang pinapakuha kasi dito sa atin is the confidence interval when the temperature is 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, temperature yung x natin, then yung y natin are the sales ng fruit shake. Therefore, yung magiging value ng x natin dito will be 95. Okay, so 95 minus the value of x bar natin dito is na-compute na natin yan kanina. So, balikan natin dito. Ito po, x bar 85.75. So, let's write it here. 85.75. Then, square natin. Ayan, nasa labas si square. Over summation of x squared. I know na compute na rin natin ito. Summation of x squared. Ito po, 88,733. So, let's write it here then. 88,733 minus summation of x. Nasaan yung summation of x? Balikan ulit natin yung kanina. Summation of x is, eto, we have here 1,029. So, dito tayo ulit. 1,029. And kailangan siya naka-square over n. What is our n? That is 12. Now, for the value of CI, ang una nating isolve is yung positive, no? Ito muna pala, 210.9338. Then mag-plus minus na lang tayo. Ang una nating isolve for sa calculator, no, itong part na to, para mamaya nakita nyo, pagbukurin natin yung plus and minus because again, that will serve as our lower and upper limit ng ating confidence interval. Okay, so ito muna ang ilagay natin sa ating calculator. Okay, so let's go now to our calculator. Let's input 2.228 multiplied to, let's have here 10.6824, 10.6824, and multiplied to square root natin. Sa loob ng square root, we have their fraction. Okay, so ayan, 1 over 12, 1 over 12, then plus ulit. Let's have ulit fraction ulit tayo dito. So let's type here fraction. Then sa taas, for our numerator, 95 minus 85.75, then squared siya. So 95 minus 85.75, then let's have here square. Ayan. Then for our denominator, guys, this is 88,733. So let's type it here. 88,733 minus fraction ulit tayo. That is 1,029 square. So 1,029, then square natin. Sa denominator, let's have here 12. Okay, so answer, let's have 12.0363. Okay, nasaan yan? Dito po, 12.0363. Dahil ito palang kino-compute natin na wala pa itong unang part. So, CI natin, for the positive, for the negative muna tayo. 210.9338 minus 12.0363. Okay, so lagay natin dito. 210.9338 minus 12.0363. So, this will be our lower limit. No, yung lower part ng ating interval, 198.8975. So, 198.8975. Up to our upper limit, papalitan lang natin yung minus sign ng plus sign. So, let's have it here. No, change natin ito. Maging plus. 222.9701. So, ayan yung upper limit natin. 222.9701. Oh, 0.9701. Ayan, nagkakamali pa ako na sulat. Ayan, ito ang ating confidence interval. Anong ibig niyang sabihin? No, ibig lang pong sabihin nito, when the confidence interval is at 95% level, no, the number of fruit shakes sold when the temperature is 95 degrees. Ayun yung ginamit natin no, 95 degrees. If that is the temperature na gagamitin natin, we can expect, guys, that our sales pinakamababa na is 198.8975, or let's round it up, 199 na units. Ayun na yung pinakamababa, or hanggang sa 222.9701. Ito yung highest, or simply 223. No? So that is the purpose of the confidence interval sa ating regression analysis. Okay, so I hope you get it. Okay, so for our last and next part na dapat gawin, we should now compute for the prediction interval. Okay, for the formula of prediction interval, guys, this is just the same with the formula of confidence interval, but the only difference is meron tayong 1 dito na additional. So, before mag 1 over n, may 1 muna. So, 1 plus 1 over n. Okay, so let's have the formula here. Pi na lang for the prediction interval. Okay, so same formula, copy natin, y hat plus minus t multiplied to SE. So, y hat plus minus t multiplied to SE. Then, we have the square root. Tulad nga nung nabanggit ko, no? Before mag 1 over n, meron muna tayo dito na 1. No? Plus, ito na yung 1 over n natin. Then, we have here x minus x bar squared. Okay? So, plus ulit, x minus x bar squared. Then, for our denominator here, we have summation of x squared. Ayan, summation of x squared minus summation of x, then square sa labas over n. So, summation of x square sa labas over n. Ayan. Okay, hope you get it. Ayun lang naman yung pinaka-difference nila pagdating sa formula. Dahil po sa prediction interval, mas malapad yung pagitan ng lower and upper limit niya, ng interval niya. No? And kaya siya may 1 dito. So, let's have here Pi equals value. Pareho lang. 210.9338. So, 210.9338, and plus minus for our value of t, we have 2.228. So, 2.228. Ayan, this is 2. And for the SE, 10.6824. So, 10.6824. And let's have the square root. So, 1 plus 1 over n is, again, our n is 12. Okay, so plus x minus x bar. This is 95 minus 85.75. So, 95 minus 85.75, then square, over summation of x square. That is 88,733. So, let's write it here. 88,733 minus summation of x, then square. That is 1,029. So, 1,029 square over our n. Again, our n is 12. Okay, so let's have it here. Pi and 210.9338 plus minus. Isolve muna ulit natin to. Tulad kanina, para before tayo maghanap ng values niya for plus and minus. No, for the lower and upper limit ng ating interval. So, for now, let's go to our calculator, guys. And let's type the meron tayong data. 2.228. So, let's write it here. 2.228 multiplied to 10. That is 10.6824. So, 6824. And, square root tayo. Square root, before mag-fraction, meron mo tayong 1, no? 1 plus fraction tayo, 1 over 12. So, 1 over 12. Then, plus ulit na fraction ulit. No? So, for the fraction, 95 minus 85.75. So let's write here 95 minus 85.75. Then square natin. For the denominator, we have here 88,733. So 88,733 minus fraction ulit 1,029 square. So 1,029 and square natin over our value of n, which is 12. Okay? The answer is 26.6707. So let's write it here. 26.6707. So dito, compute na natin. Ito na yung time to compute the lower and upper limit. So let's write it here. 210 point, ano yun? 9338. 9338. Minus muna tayo. Minus 26.6707. Minus 26.6707. So the answer is, for lower limit, we have 184.2631. 184.2631 up to, gawin natin plus ito. So the upper limit, let's have here 237.6045. So 237.6045. Okay, so this will be our prediction interval. So we conclude that the probability is 95% that the number of fruit shakes sold is between 184.26 or simply 185, round up guys, to 237.6045 or 238 na fruit shakes. No, the interval is quite large guys compared to our confidence interval. Kung titingnan nyo, no, 198 or 199 hanggang 223 ang confidence interval. So, if this is the 199, ito yung 223, itong buong yan, ito yung CI. Okay? For DPI, kung titingnan natin, 185 na natin ito, round up po ulit dahil may point something. Again, for the mathematics, this should be round down. Pero since we are talking with the unit of fruit shakes, no, better na mag-round up na tayo. So, 185 to 238 para masakop natin yung point something. No, para sure pa rin tayo sa prediction. So, 185 to 238. Somehow, nandito siya. So, we have here 185 up to 238. So, titignan nyo, no? Mas malayo yung pagitan for the prediction interval. Ayan, mas malayo siya. Dahil this is for the future. Kasi itong confidence interval kasi, ang basis nito, guys, is yung data na nag-occur na. Itong sa prediction interval, yung wala pa. We are, by the term itself na prediction, we are just predicting. Okay? So, I hope you learned something from this presentation. That is simply how simple linear regression analysis is working, no, in yung mga interpretation, mga analysis na pag-usapan natin. Huwag pong kakalimutan dahil we will still use this on your higher subjects, no, on your next subjects, on your higher units. Okay? So, thank you for being with me on this presentation, guys. I'm hoping na na-appreciate nyo yung subject and matututo kayo, no, from our materials na prepared. Okay? So, thank you again. Keep safe always. Enjoy the rest of the day. And lastly, enjoy the rest of the week. See you again on our next topic. Again, keep safe and bye-bye.